Thank you very much. And we now turn to the open debate. Speeches of 6 minutes, please. At this stage, I have a little bit of time in hand for interventions. I call Claire Adamson to be followed by Cara Hilton.
The convener of the committee has already mentioned that I did come somewhat late to the bill, having joined the committee in November of last year. But I would like to pay tribute to the many witnesses who have contributed to the Stage 1 proceedings, both by appearing before committee and in the written evidence. And indeed, I thank those who have submitted, the many organisations, stakeholders have submitted briefings for today's proceedings in the Chamber this afternoon. It has been mentioned this is a very broad and diverse bill covering many topics that fall within its remit. I suspect that I would not be able to cover all of the areas of the bill today. However, I hope to link them in some way, in that my main concern will be in relation to the area of safety. I believe that every member of the committee and everyone in the Chamber today will be looking for an outcome of safer, healthier communities. I'm sure that we would all agree that that is the outcome we would want from the intended changes within the bill. I did think we had a bit more consensus on the committee. I'm surprised that the Conservatives have chosen to abstain today, because all of the members in the committee agreed with the report, and there didn't seem to be much contention at that time about the report from the committee. I listened to Alex Rowley talking about how he felt that maybe the complexity in bringing together of many items was a mistake in this area. Yes, I'll take an intervention.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say, unfortunately, due to my relatively limited parliamentary experience, brief parliamentary experience, I didn't realise the full implication of my acquiescence at the committee stage 1 of the bill, which is why I agreed to it. Thank you.
Claire Adamson.
Thank you for the explanation, Mr Cameron. What I would say is, Alex Rowley, it reminded me of an old joke about a traveller seeking directions from a local to be met with, well, I wouldn't start from here. But we are here. We don't have a blank sheet of paper. We have to work within the constraints, the capacities and the existing law that we have, both in this place and in the local government level. So I do think the way the government has presented the bill is possibly the only way forward at this stage to address some of these very serious issues. If we could turn to air guns and licensing, I do think that despite some of the comments this afternoon, that this is a proportionate and a reasonable way to approach airgun licensing. We cannot forget where this has come from. Few of us will forget the young boy Andrew Morton, 2-year-old, who was killed in Glasgow, and indeed his parents' campaign to have the issue of airgun licensing addressed in Scotland. But I believe it was a nominee, if not the winner, of one of the press awards in the year following Andrew's death. And it's these tragedies, it's these individual cases where this system is completely inadequate in protecting our communities that I'm sure has driven us to where we are at the moment. And I do think that what we have is the right balance between protecting communities and allowing the legitimate use of shooting in a safe environment to continue. We've taken evidence from scouting organisations, from people who work with air guns in their day-to-day lives, from apprentices, and I do think that this bill does strike the right balance between what is in the best interest of our communities going forward. It's estimated that there... Yes.
Alex Ferguson.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to the member for taking the intervention, and I totally agree. The type of crime to which she's referred is utterly unacceptable in any society. But I wonder if she can tell me of the evidence that she heard on the committee that suggests that an air gun or a regime to licence the people who own an air gun would prevent that sort of crime, because I simply cannot find that evidence.
Well, I was at the committee at the time when the police gave their evidence in this area, and they spoke of their frustration at their inability to address air guns in premises where they are suspected of other crimes being committed, and the fact that whether that's domestic abuse, whether it's drug crime, whether it's any kind of crime in our community, their inability to do anything about air guns being present in these areas. So I found the police evidence compelling. The Scottish Arms Consultative Panel estimate that there are 500,000 air weapons currently in circulation in Scotland. I have to say, one of them is in my loft and has been for the last 20 years. And I believe that that's the case for most of these weapons. They've been bought for recreational use at some point. My husband and his father were both Scout leaders and used it to train Scouts, but nonetheless the weapon remains in circulation. And I think that the sort of amnesty period and the ability for people to hand in weapons that are no longer in use will make our community safer. I'm very rapidly running out of time, Presiding Officer, but if I could turn to the metal dealers and really metal theft and what that means to our communities. As someone who represents the Auchingeek area in Woodiesburn, I was absolutely appalled when the fundraising that had been done by the local community and the miners there to make a memorial of the Auchingeek disaster from 1959. To have that memorial stolen within a matter of weeks was, of course, a real blow to that community, an emotional blow, and one that was felt by everyone from an industrial background in the Lanarkshire area. It was replaced with a very generous donation from a local businessman, but when things affect our built heritages, our memorials, the fabric of our community and our historic buildings, it does have a detrimental effect on our communities that cannot be measured. Whether that's led from a church roof or the destruction of an historic building, or indeed the theft from memorials, which we've seen more and more in the past time. But we also have to look at the often disproportionate impact in the economy of an area of the value of where the value of the metal theft is as nothing to the disproportionate cost to the local economy and the disruption to infrastructure, whether that be to telecommunications, rail or road infrastructure. And I'm really glad that that is being addressed within the remit of this bill. I'm not sure if I've got much more time, Presiding Officer.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. If I could just talk about the taxi app situation. There was a lot of talk about the changes in technology. As someone who's a technologist, I was very interested in this. But only last week there was a case in Edinburgh of a young woman who there's an alleged crime where she got into what she thought was a private hire car and was taken away and was sexually assaulted. And I think when we put safety at the very heart of what we're doing, I think that we should look to the opportunities of apps where some of the apps that are on the market at the moment provide you a picture of the driver, they provide the licence of the car that's picking you up, and they can track the journey as well. So while these are seen as a threat in some areas, I think there's a great opportunity to improve safety, and I think that will be driven by the market. Thank you.
Many thanks.